Single pointedness of the mind is instrumental in the accomplishment of superconscious meditative union because the Tat and Tvampadas comprising the fourfold types of Deha and the fourfold types of Dehi brings about the experiences of the form of the power of the Atman with which one is required to establish connection through single pointedness of the mind. This is the indication of the trait of concentration that is needed to accomplish this. The sutra Vitarka Samprajna refers to the fourfold types of superconscious meditative unions, which have to be understood as the essence of Tvampada. With the support of the fourfold forms, the gross, subtle, causal, the greater cause, and with meditation, manifestation, etc., of different types, it is attainable. That is the reason it is called Tvampada. The fourfold types of Dehi, which will be the instrument to put an end to the changing tendencies of the mind, is in the above sutra. If the four types are indicative, it is necessary to know the four kinds of essence of Tvampada through Tatpada. This is very clearly stated in the commentary by Vyasa. Thus, even though the eightfold superconscious meditative union may be attainable through single pointed tendency of the mind, it is only with its attainment that it gets absorbed. It is necessary to hold on to the fourfold types of forms of causal matters Deha and Dehi. Since the experience of the actualization of the Asi state is dependent on the completion of Tat and Tvam states and thereby attain absolute peace, giving up the clinging proves to be independent by itself. Therefore, it is to be called supraconscious meditative union. In this way, through serially actualizing of Asipada through self-ascent, re-ascent, and the absence of self and re-ascent, superbly directed to the completion of Tat and Tvampadas, definitely accomplishes yogic peace. When we say we experience Tat and Tvampadas, it means the experience of its dissolution and creation. That is why the three types of supraconscious meditative unions serially would mean experience of the actualization of the dissolution of causal matter, experience of the actualization of the incorporeal superconscious, and experience of actualization of the complete Asipada. Even though Brahma without attributes is considered superior to Brahma with attributes, still, it being considered restrictive, the experience of actualization of Asipada after completion of Brahma with and without attributes is considered to be the most superior. The three types of experiences of the actualization of the Asipada described above have to be arrived at from Yoga Sutras like Bhava Pratyayo Videha Prakriti Layanam, which means that it has to be attained through the experience of incorporeal after the dissolution of causal matter. When superconscious meditative union consisting of the four types gets attained completely, it gets absorbed in the causal matter, supraconscious meditative union. That actualized Brahma is the origin of all tendencies and play. It is from here that all play becomes possible. Therefore, it is said to be self-ascent. Similarly, after giving up the four kinds, such as reasoning, etc., the traits that are related to that, such as positive reasoning, gets concluded here. This incorporeal Brahma attainable through superconscious meditative union is known as re-ascent, and its object is complete joy in oneself. To sum up, the Asipada, which is dualistic in form, meaning it includes the completion of Tatpada and Tvampada, ending in Asipada, which also needs to be accomplished. It is only after attaining the completion of Asipada in its entirety that the beingness of the experience gets accomplished. This is complete self-knowing. It is only after ending of the single-pointed tendency of the mind, that restraint of the mind which is sacrificial in nature, makes meditative union possible. It is then that one can understand supraconscious meditative union, and only when it ends that the restraining tendency also ends. This is because after the restraint of single pointedness, restraint also becomes peaceful. Nothing more remains. The effort of giving up the experience of superconscious meditative union is the nature of supraconscious meditative union. The instrument of attaining an actualization of the superconscious and supraconscious meditative unions is instructed in the Vedic sciences as listening, reflection, and contemplation. This is what is revealed in the Upanishads as well. There is a mantra in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Tasmad Brahman Pandityam. The serial order of instruction mentioned therein enables one to understand the nature of superconscious and supraconscious meditative unions. Firstly, the statement Panditya Nirvidya Balyena Tishtase refers to the attainment of the eightfold superconscious meditative union. This is mainly for establishing oneself in the strength of wisdom gained from the learning. Sri Adi Shankaracharya, the great commentator, explains the characteristics of a Panditya as Ishanam Vyuttana Vasanameva Tat Pandityam, and suggests it to be Pandyatamedat Atma Vijnanam Nirvidaha. This suggestion is indicative of giving up of the four types of dependence on the body, such as reasoning, etc., and bringing it as a matter of experience. Closely following it is a statement Balyam cha Pandityam cha Nirvidyat Munihi. Through this statement, after speaking about the attainment of self-ascent, re-ascent, and strength of learning, he has instructed about the accomplishment of self-knowing through asceticism, which has the potential for actualization of Asipada. The experience that follows will be useful in the attainment of total supraconscious meditative union. It is possible to understand it in the proper sequence. After this is the supraconscious meditative union, which is of two types, namely the experience of being and the experience of resource. Only after their complete accomplishment is it possible to attain Purna Yoga. The experience of being in the superconscious meditative union is always that of applying the knowledge, and so the experiencing of the resource should be considered the nature of reasoning. The experience of being in superconscious meditative union is of three types. Only the essence of Asipada is the experience of being in totality. It is only after the first two are removed that there is a possibility of attaining Purna Yoga. All the above steps are to be experienced for each of the five Brahmas before Purna Yoga can be attained. In order to achieve the actualization of Tattvamasi, there are instructions in the Veda Shastras, Puranas and others for worship of the five tutelary Brahmas, namely Shakti, Surya, Vishnu, Shiva and Ganesh. All five Brahmas have been described with attributes, without attributes, beyond attributes and absence of attributes. In other words, to actualize the experience of Tattvamasi, one has to follow this order sequentially. The form of Tattvamasi of individual Brahmas have been described in their respective scriptures. Therefore, to experience the glory of self-knowing, one has to go through the superconscious meditative union of the five Brahmas. Those five kinds being the Ansh of the whole, Their attainment in a serial order means it is only after the completion of one can you proceed to the second one, and so on. This is predetermined as self knowing of the centers of power, namely Asat, Sat, Sama, and Sahaja Brahmas, represented in the form of Shakti, Surya, Vishnu, and Shiva as tutelary deities for worship, and their completion results in non differentiation or oneness. The Ganesh Brahma as a tutelary deity for worship is understood as a part of the whole. Thus, for the purpose of understanding and application of teaching, to accomplish the experience of the five types, that the same is being instructed in the shloka, Shive, Vishnu, etc. Their order of spiritual practice is the actualization of Shakta Brahma, then the light of Saura Brahma. After its actualization is the light of Vaishnavi Brahma. After that actualization comes the light of Shiva Brahma. Then after actualization of that too is the ending of the four types of attainment, wherein we reach the Ganesh Brahma state. Its actualization is the union of all forms and is the experience of the being in superconscious meditative union. This is the meaning that is contained in the shloka as instruction, which has been repeated here in brief. The original mantra on the subject is referred to as Asadrishyam, etc. in the Upanishads. Although this has been explained earlier, it is further elucidated here. Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, and Surya, with their forms, with attributes and without attributes, which means that when they play with authority, through their forms with attributes and rest in their authority without attributes, there is the glory of self-knowing, which is beyond their attributes. When they are worshipped properly in the ordained manner, that is, after attaining the actualization of the three states beyond sentiments through the process of meditative union, when one becomes attuned to becoming the state of Tattvamasi, it becomes necessary to end it. Then alone will one be able to actualize the identification with Brahmatman and accomplish the yoga. This is the process advocated by Shastras. Therefore, the serial order for spiritual practice mentioned is Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, and Surya, after which it is necessary to conclude the four states by merging them into the Mayupada. Then alone the process becomes yoga. The Shrutis have praised the Atman to be the fourfold Supreme Brahma himself for the purpose of listening, reflection, and contemplation. The four stages are ignorance, knowledge, Swanand, and Brahma. They are the source for teaching and exception. The first three are the source for teaching, and the fourth one, Brahmapada, is the exception. This is how they have been described. Asya Vishwabhutani Pada Tripad Amrutam Divi. The root of the four padas is indicated by this mantra. Again, the statement Vishwabhutani Pada indicates the four types to be universal. The first pada is with attributes, and the path of ignorance is of four types. The knowledge pada is also of four types, and Swananda pada is within this itself. This is what is known because all three types are the source for teaching, and they become a complete tool in the actualization of Tattvam Asipada. The completeness and end of the four types once again occurs only in the abode of Ganesh Brahma. It is qualified by the characteristics of all five states and is of the nature of total self-knowing. Therefore, the three stages which are the source become indicative of the fourth stage. There is no possibility for exception in the Brahmapada. The Upanishads say, Chaturnam Sanyogat, which is the union of the four Brahmas and is the origin of Tatpada and Trampada, where Maya truly resides, and is the place of dissolution and creation of the self. The essence of all it is considered is form. The supraconscious meditative union, which is the ending of the restraint of the tendencies of the mind, does not happen here. Therefore, the yoga of Ganesh Brahma is of three types, namely the forms of union, restraint, and the yoga of enlightened peace, as mentioned in the Shastras. After taking into consideration the above mentioned method, the completion of the four types of Brahmas, namely Shiva and other Brahmas, leads one to the state of Ganesh Brahma through observing meditative union. This is the becoming of absolute intelligence, which is of the nature of Ganesh Yoga, indicated as the first stage. The same Purna Yoga is the second pada of Ganesh Yoga. Shri Gajanan Prabhu tells Varenya, Yoga sa samyak mama mato yoga. This means that yoga which is beyond union and restraint and which is experienced as yogic peace through meditative union, actualized after completion of the supraconscious meditative union, is the yoga. That which enlightens the reality of the mental vital consciousness substance is Purna Yoga. That yoga is acceptable to me. The proof of this for the purpose of experience is given from the Mudgal Puran by several commentators. The essence of it in brief is as follows. Swananda Brahma, who is endowed with self-knowing Maya, through his own desire takes the form of Asat, Sat, Sama and Sahaja forms for play. Therefore, the end of the four states occurs in the union at Swanand. The going, coming and staying takes place from here alone. This is represented by the letter G and is a state beyond Tad. The complete ending of Tat Pada and the form of non-differential Brahma is represented by the letter N. Its glory is complete liberation. Thus, that state which is beyond yoga of G and N, being regulated by a power that bears the characteristics of and that illuminates their destruction, and the one who is the majesty of Purna Yoga is Ganesh. It can be actualized only through the glory of absolute union of enlightened peace. The Shrutis have praised him by addressing him as Brahmanam Brahmanaspati. The first word, namely Brahmana, means among all the Brahmas, from Anna Brahma up to Sanyoga Brahma, from all the teachings. The master of Brahmas is called Brahmanaspati. The same meaning is contained in the statement from the Shrutis as well. Gargya Maharshi is famous for the essence of knowledge of Ganesha and is the author of commentaries on the same. He was the son of Maharishi Angira and a co-student along with Mudgalacharya during the Ganesh Mahakalpa during Treta Yuga. The first one was the incarnation of Mayuresh. At that time, Gargya was known for being his friend. As an eminent personage, the commentaries written by him have appeared in the Puranas. We shall see further in the next audio more about Upasana Yoga.